If I can have everyone's attention, we'll go ahead and call this October meeting of the Blount County Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Roger, if you call the roll, please.
Andy Allen. Larry Chesney. Bruce Damrow. Here. Stan Hedrick. Rob Walker.
Here. There's no discussion. Is there a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes? Okay.
Okay.
The date should be September 6th, correct?
Got a new person preparing a minute, so.
Other than that,
All in favor say aye. There's no appeals tonight, one special exception and one variance. The special exception tonight is a request on 860 Burt Garner Road for a special events venue.
The applicant is requesting a special exception for special events venue at 860 Burt Garner Lane. This property is identified on tax map 79, parcel 127, and is zoned suburbanizing. The applicant has a photography studio in their home, which is considered a home occupation and is a permitted use. They have recently built a pavilion on the property that was permitted as a residential accessory structure. Their request is to be able to use that pavilion in conjunction with their photography business to be able to offer their clients a venue for weddings and other special events. In my discussions with the applicant, weddings seem to be the targeted use for the pavilion, although special events venue could be used for other type of, any type of gathering. The current photography studio falls into a category of home occupation as an office or studio of an artist, as shown in the definition of home occupation below. These uses are permitted without having to be approved as a special exception if they are conducted within the primary dwelling. If this use is to be conducted in an accessory building, it would be considered a family commercial enterprise and would require approval by special exception. As it reads in section 7.10 that I provided below, this would cover the photography business being conducted outside of the primary dwelling in the accessory structure. It is a gray area as to whether having special events would be an extension of the existing photography studio or if it would be creating another use altogether. Creating this use would not be permitted under the same section as a photography studio, and furthermore would not meet the requirements of a special exception with limitations due to the classification of Burt Garner Road not being a collector status or greater road. I have received several phone calls concerning noise from the parties that have recently been held at this location. Noise is a consideration found in section 7.10 below for family commercial enterprises and would have to be contained on the property that the use is located on. If this request were to be approved, it would require an approved buffer.
Is there anyone in favor of this special exception who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Would you mind coming to the microphone?
Sure. I am one of the owners of the property, and like you, I'm sorry, Matthew Deck is my name. Me and my wife, Farrah Williams Deck, own the property, and we've had a photography business for some years now, like you said, operating out of our home. Basically what happened is we have an amazing view there, and we were always meeting brides there at our studio to discuss photography, and we had several people along the way who said, well, why can't you just have weddings here? This is a beautiful view and everything. And we actually did have one in 2010, didn't charge for it. It was a young lady that, had some special circumstances and had a hard time affording, a place to get married, so we provided it for her, and it went great, and we thought, well, sure. And we had no idea, honestly, that there would be a lot of interest in it. Recently, there has been more interest in it, and we have had a few more events than we expected lately. I think we've had 6 this year. The last event that we had, we did have a live band there. It did get too loud, and I think that's really what piqued a lot of people's concerns. And I do agree. I totally agree that it was too loud. That level of noise is not going to happen again. We did make a rule that we were going to stop everything by 10 o'clock. We made an exception on that case because they were just way behind schedule and they weren't going to have any time to dance or anything, so we allowed them 30 to 45 minutes later. Judging from the response, which I had no idea that this many people were upset about the noise, that's definitely not going to happen again. And I don't want to be a bad neighbor. I honestly don't. I wish a lot of people would have come and talked to us sooner, gave me a call. In fact, if we're able to do this, I would like to give everybody my cell phone number and our home phone number. If they have any kind of complaints, I'd like for them to give me a call, and we can certainly work anything out. I can ask at any time to reduce the noise level. And I'm pretty sure that from now on it's going to be much, much lower. In fact, the last one we had was last weekend, wasn't it? I think it was a lot quieter than the previous one. Did the one last week bother anybody?
Yes. Yeah.
It did? Okay. How close are you?
Excuse me, they'll get the opportunity to speak in a minute.
Okay.
You just speak to the board.
Well, I
right
just
now.
wanted to, just to hear everybody's concern. I mean, I do feel bad about it. I honestly didn't think that it would, that would bother that many people. I'm hearing that the noise is the primary issue, obviously. And we're willing to work in any way we can to make everybody comfortable with that. We're on 10 acres. We've actually spoken with our closest neighbors, Mr. Taylor and Mr. Yoakum. I just spoke to Mr. Yoakum last week, and he does go to bed early, and he asked me that we definitely do get it cut off by 10, and I'm certainly willing to honor that. And like I said, it kind of upset me that this many people were bothered by it, and I do agree that the noise at times has been too loud, and we're willing to take great steps to reduce that. This is not going to be some big enterprise. It really is just an extension of our other business. We just want to provide something affordable to our brides because some of the venues are just ridiculous in cost around here. And like I said, I'm willing to do whatever I can as far as the noise level. We're not going to have that many. In fact, I think we just have 3 more requests for the rest of the year. It's not going to be an every weekend thing or anything. And when we have weddings, there's going to be virtually no noise until the reception afterwards, which typically the ceremonies are normally taking place around 5 or 6. We have a reception afterwards. Generally, the music has been getting a little louder by, I would say, 7, 8 o'clock. And so it's like a 2 to 3 hour window where we have that music. So it's not an all-day thing. We're certainly not going to go past 10. But I'm willing to hear whatever anybody has to say about fixing any of their concerns with that. So
Oh, yeah.
I've never done this before, so I don't know the procedures.
Okay. Is there anyone else in favor of this special exception who would like to speak? Is there anyone in opposition? One at a time, please.
Well, I don't know that I'm in opposition of it. I am not in
For the
opposition.
record, can you tell us your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear. I'm blind in the right eye, but my name is Harold Walker. I've lost my train of thought. Now I'm getting old, too. And I haven't heard a word you guys said, so if you can turn your mics up just a little, I'd appreciate it. But now, like I said, I'm deaf. I'm only concerned about the noise. I'm not concerned at all about his weddings or his wedding receptions or anything else, like in that category. I am concerned about loud music at 10:45 at night, and especially when you've got a electric bass and a percussion group. Because most of these, I played music too for years, and most of us didn't have sense enough to know to turn it down. And we played it about as loud as we could. That's the only opposition I have to whatever it is he's trying to do, and I don't know exactly what it is he's trying to do. But I had got a letter in my mailbox stating there was some type of 714 or whatever it was, that's county law, that at a certain, you cannot disturb people's peace after a certain period of time at night. Everybody's here, I think, is from Foxdale and Country Haven Estates. I think most of you guys know where that's at. And that's a pretty upscale neighborhood, both of them are. There's a couple of doctors that live down there. Well, none of those guys are not here, I don't think. But anyway, I can put up with it because I don't hear well. But I heard that the last time they had it at 10:45 inside my concrete block house, and as well as I don't hear, I still heard that. That's the only thing I'm concerned about is the noise factor. Nothing else I'm concerned about. If they can get the noise down, I have no problem with what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Harold Walker. Mr. Marison, were you next, or?
My name is Jim Yoakum. I am a neighbor adjacent to this property, and Mr. Charles Taylor is on the other side, and Dale Bailey is across the street. They just asked me to mention to you that we more or less agree with Harold that the activity doesn't bother us. It's just the noise level and the time in which it was. And if there's some way that could be controlled, then I personally wouldn't have no objection to going on. But it's the fact that for 40-some years, I go to sleep at 10 o'clock, and about 10:15, my wife can't wake me up. But that kept me awake the other night. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Sandy Vandenberg, and I haven't done this before either. We live down the street from the venue. 2 nights it's been really loud, and I don't see where this fits in with the neighborhood. I don't see how, if you're going to have things like that and have a band, you can't keep a band quiet. And we've lived there since '77. It's a nice, peaceful place. I don't really even want to have to be subjected to a band in the afternoon, much less at night. Also, Burt Gardner, I had a couple people tell me back there to be sure to mention Burt Gardner is a very narrow road, if you all have been on Burt Gardner before. And so a lot of the neighbors are concerned about traffic too. But, I don't feel like this fits the zoning. And I do know from I don't know if I should even bring this up, but I do know you all zoned Maple Farms, and you've had a lot of problems with that, and he's only allowed to have 2 concerts. This is right in a neighborhood, and you're talking about having music, a lot of times. And I've never been around a band you can have them play low. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Ron Spencer. I live in Foxdale. I've got a sizable investment in my house, and it's peaceful and quiet. And I'm probably the closest neighbor to him in Foxdale, other than one other house. And the field behind this house resonates right into my house, and to my garage and my pool and everything else. And the noise was significant, and I don't want to live like that personally. And I think if you offer a cheap venue for weddings, you're asking for a lot of business, and I think you're going to get it. So just be careful. That's my thoughts.
My name is Judith Gorski, and we are the homeowners at the corner of Burt Garner and Cedargate, which is at the bottom of the hill. And the noise does resonate down into our area. And I am concerned about the noise because you can hear it in our home with the doors, windows, and air conditioning on. So noise is a significant issue. But I am also equally concerned about safety. Burt Garner is a very narrow, twisting road. It runs from Carpenter Grade right up to Niles Ferry. I don't believe I've ever seen anybody going the posted speed limit. And as you go up the hill, your line of sight of the driveway where all of the people who will be going to these receptions will be turning in, you can't see it. And so, to me, the noise is a problem, but the safety concern is equally important. Thank you.
I'm Larry Bradley, Foxdale Subdivision, and I have not met Matthew and his family, but the issue I have is that as an HOA, and I'm speaking on behalf of Randy Leuven, who is the HOA director for that subdivision, we are governed by certain codes and ordinances within the HOA that we can't have loud music and we can't have police being summoned. And 2 weeks ago, as I was watching the ball game, I thought that there was a neighbor behind Ron that just spoke, and so I thought, well, I'll just see how long that goes on. But I kept having to crank up the television just to hear the ball game, and so when I moved myself upstairs, preparing for bed Saturday night, because I'm a minister and I was preparing to speak that next day. But I went out onto my deck and I realized it wasn't my neighbors having the good time, but it was like it was whistling through the pines and the acreage behind us. And so I oppose the loud music. I feel like if we're governed by certain codes and ethics within our HOA, that we need to have something that could maintain the noise, that this thing could be really counterproductive as all the neighbors that showed up tonight. And there's some, I'm afraid, went over to the Justice Center tonight because we had a couple of van loads that were headed over here, and I think they might have went to the wrong place. So thank you.
Is there anyone else?
My name's Glenn McClanahan. I live in Foxdale also. And I've got a picture, if anybody'd like to see it, of their venue, their pavilion and venue. And then you can see right off the top of the hill, drops into where the doctor just spoke. He's across from me. When these leaves all fall, it's going to get worse. I can stand outside during the week when they have their practice also. Nobody's mentioned that. I can hear them practicing before they have their venue. I can hear every word they say, just like we're talking right here. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And this is quite a ways away, technically, but all I'm for is the noise has to stop. I've tolerated their dogs for almost 7 years. Their dogs drive us nuts. We can't have our windows open for that reason. And then on top of that, they start this. They got several dogs in a big old kennel-like thing back there, blocked out or whatever. I've driven up there and talked to the farmer behind them. But he's not here. Some of the people are older and they can't get out. And some people are working, the reason they're not here tonight. And this is a little early for some people at work, 9 to 5. But noise has to stop.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
There are quite a few things going on this evening. Fairview School, so a lot of people couldn't come. This family is working at the carnival. They sent this. We would like it to be noted for the record that we are against the exemption request for the zoning exception on the property on Burt Gardner Lane across from Muscadine Drive. We have heard the loud music on a particular Saturday evening clearly, and we live several houses away at 700 Burt Gardner Lane. Please make note this is our opinion and comments, and this is from Kevin and Kay Gibson.
Is there anyone else in opposition who would like to speak? Yes, sir.
My name is Brandon Kimsey, and I'm not really on the opposition. I'm actually for. Farrah and Matthew asked me to come up and up here today because I'm actually one of the DJs. I don't run a band business or anything like that, but I know as an aspect of my company, we can actually obtain the decibel levels of everything at the venue. I've got a couple of family members that live off of Burt Gardner, and I've asked them, can you hear me personally? And I've got some friends that live further up that live on Burt Garner, and I've asked them, can you hear any instances or anything? I do know that sometimes, and as a DJ, I've had the cops called. And, of course, when the cops are called, music goes down. We usually do the 10 o'clock time frame anywhere on an outside venue unless told otherwise, unless you're out in the country away from all the subdivisions and stuff. But the other thing, like I said, is it seems like most of the neighbors and everything have asked for just particularly the band, which is the bass, the drum, and the big pounding. Because when bands get going, they don't want to turn it down. They just want to keep hammering it out and making sure the crowd has a good time. As a DJ, you can kind of turn it down and run the show. So if they still allow it, 9 o'clock, you can start turning it down a little bit more each time. Now, of course, the neighbors that are a little bit closer might still hear the instances, but as long as it's cut off by 10 o'clock, I don't think there should be any problem whatsoever. Because again, with the decibel level, you can get it low enough to where people can hear it in the actual venue, but not 100 or 1,000 feet away from them. So there's kind of a gist there on however they want to run that. But it seems like everybody's more complaining about the band version. So if there was maybe a decibel level, you can actually get a machine that says you can only have this amount of decibel levels to be able to play at that venue. So that's pretty much all I had to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
What was your name again?
Brandon. Brandon Kimsey.
Just a minute, there's one other gentleman I think wants to speak.
Good evening. My name is Ed Chastain. I live in Foxdale subdivision, and I just want to talk about the noise level that I heard when they were having their venue there. I thought it was someone in our subdivision. It sounded so loud, and I went outside. This is, about 10 o'clock at night, and usually our subdivision's nice and quiet. And it was just, it was actually rattling the windows off my deck. And, usually the wife and I, we get in bed, 10:30, and, but that night it was very unusual. I don't have a problem with people running a business or, at their home, but, if they can control the noise, more power to them. But I just want to say the noise level was exceptional and, very loud and, disturbing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone?
My name is Roxanne Bell, and I live in Foxdale also. I'm the very first house as you come into the neighborhood, so I'm probably one of the neighbors that is furthest away from the loud noise. I have heard the loud noise, and my question is if you say, okay, he cannot have any loud music after 10 o'clock, what's to prevent him from saying, well, the bride and groom, they got a late start, so we let it go longer? What's going to happen?
Have to call the law.
That's the question.
Call the cops. Because that's not going to happen.
Is there anyone else in favor or in opposition?
I wasn't planning on saying anything, but I believe I have to. I'm Ken Williams. I live on Muscadine Drive. And the thing that bothers me is the noise level, and if this is allowed to exist and persist, the decimal level can just go out of sight. The thing about it is the disc jockeys and the people making the music don't live in the neighborhood. I live in that neighborhood, and that is the most peaceful neighborhood I've ever lived in for 25 and a half years. And I hate to see what's going on and if it's allowed to continue. And it's beside why in the world, we got complaints. Now we're going to have to do something about it. We'll make sure that the disc jockeys and things get their music low. This should have been a concern long time ago, not now.
He should have thought about this a long time ago. And my other concern is, like the lady stated at the first, is the safety of our children and of ourselves. That is a narrow road out there, and the people coming across that hill come across at 60 miles an hour. You can't get a deputy sheriff out there to monitor this thing, and it's bad. And if somebody's going to get killed out there coming out of Burt Garner onto Road Muscadine onto Burt Garner, it's bad. Thank you.
Yes.
I've never done this before either. My name's Ron Hines. I live at 2760 Cedar Gate. We beat the noise to death. I think we pretty well understood that we don't like that. I'm concerned about the safety, because pulling out a Muscadine onto Cedar Gates is fine. Pulling out a Muscadine onto Burt Garner is not so fine. I have a Toyota pickup truck, Toyota Tacoma, not the wide car, not the wide one. You're supposed to turn those off before you come in.
Continue, please. I apologize.
That's what the sign said. But anyhow, I have to stop. When we have the trash trucks coming through our division, they go back out on Burt Garner. If I'm meeting one of them, I hit the grass, because they're coming down the middle, partner. Dual wheel trucks, dual rears, same thing. Now you're going to have traffic pulling out of their driveway. If you've seen that driveway, you'll understand. If you think Muscadine coming out is bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. And where are they going to park? They're going to park in our addition? Not a good idea. What's our property values going to be like? That's another concern. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Hearing none, we'll open up the floor for discussion from the board.
What's the size of this pavilion? It's a 40 by 50 foot pavilion.
Was it built as a pavilion for an entertainment center or an event center, or is it just built, or?
Well, we built the pavilion for a couple of different reasons.
Mr. Day, would you mind speaking to the microphone? We having trouble hearing you.
We built the pavilion for a couple of different reasons. First, we did have some of our brides that we were talking to who were interested at the time in getting married there. We wanted to provide a place for them to have their receptions. We also personally want it for like our kids' soccer parties, family reunions, just personal stuff that we do. We're not strictly using it for weddings or commercial purposes at all. Am I open to discuss some of the things that have been said, or should I just stick to the questions?
Just stick with the questions, right?
Okay, all right.
When did you build the pavilion?
It was just finished early this year. It was finished in April, I think. Yeah, more or less in April.
So you got restrooms and all that in it?
There is one restroom in it, yes, sir.
Is your residence in the HOA that they've been talking about?
The Homeowners Association? No, I do not believe so.
Do you cater food in, or what?
We do not. We allow other caterers to come in.
How many people usually are at the weddings? Is it a lot or little?
It has varied between 30 and 150. Typically, so far, typically what we, when we have 150, 160 guests, there's usually maybe 50 cars. And, I just wanted to talk about the traffic concerns also. A lot of the concerns I totally agree with people speeding on Burt Garner and there not being enough room, but that doesn't have anything to do with us. And, when the guests are leaving, like I said, there's usually 40 to 50 cars, and it's not all at once. It's not like leaving a UT football game or something, People leave a few at a time. And honestly, I really don't see how it's changing or hurting traffic or disturbing traffic.
So what you've got is basically two businesses, your photography and then the event center, right?
No, we don't treat it like two businesses. We're the same. We just allow some of our brides to have their weddings there. I mean, we see it as an extension of our photography business. That's how we got started with it. We meet 1 million brides over there with our photography. Our photography is a pretty, I wouldn't say successful. We're not making a ton of money, but we're doing a lot of weddings as far as photography. And we do photography all over, not just there, but.
So the photography is the primary, secondary is people who want to hold a wedding out there.
I guess you could say that, yes, sir.
So that would
The photography is definitely our primary. We wouldn't even be addressing the venue issue if it wasn't for our photography.
You said you haven't had many weddings this year, but like Dr. Spencer said, if you have a very reasonable rate, you'll have a lot more.
Well, the rates are going up if we're allowed to do it, to be honest with you. We just, like I said, this is kind of a learning process for us because we didn't honestly think there would be much of a response, or there wouldn't be nearly as big of a response as there has been. And as far as the noise level, like I said, it's a learning experience. A live band being there is an extremely rare case. Most of the time, it's just a DJ with a couple of speakers. And yes, as like Brandon said, we can certainly control that noise level. I mean, we can make the noise where I would be shocked if somebody across the road could even hear it. In fact, our last wedding that we had, when we went inside, we couldn't hear it. We have 4 small children. Our babies were asleep. The last one, we got concerned after the live band because I didn't like it. I thought it was way too loud. It scared me. It bothered me. I was worried about what people were going to think, and obviously for a good reason. The next one we had was probably less than a quarter of that noise level. And like I said, inside the house, our own house, I could hardly hear it at all.
So, how many weddings have you had?
6, I believe.
Okay, and how many of those 6, that delta number of 6, has there been a complaint of noise?
We have not had any complaint of noise. That's why I was hoping that if somebody was bothered by it, they would just come and tell us. They're our neighbors, I mean, I'm willing to. Nobody's called us or approached us. It would have certainly been addressed if I'd have heard anybody complain. We were just kind of, forgive me, but saying it was kind of an ambush that everybody all of a sudden just started complaining all at once. I mean, I wish, it would have been addressed. And, if we would have known that it was bothering people that much, this probably wouldn't have been an issue because it would have been cut down a long time ago. Like I said, we're just getting started and we're kind of learning, what to do here, And I do agree that there's been some weddings that it was too loud, and that's not going to happen again.
When you built the pavilion, was there a permit required to build that facility?
Yes.
And you received those permits from the proper authorities in Blount County?
Yes.
And your permit was for what use? Just a building?
That's a separate issue. We have a case pending with our builder. The builder went and got the permit. He listed it incorrectly. We have plenty of correspondence between us and him, and he knew exactly what it was for. I did not file for the permit. Our builder did. And honestly, I think we're about to go to court with him over it because of his misrepresentation.
So what's the disagreement?
When we decided to first build it, I did not consider it commercial at all because mainly what I thought we were going to do is have a few parties out there. Our kids' soccer parties are going to have. My family wanted to do a family reunion out there, and Farrah had a couple of brides that said they would like to get married out there. That's when we decided to do it. We didn't know that there was going to be this much response through Facebook and everything, and people seeing it and learning about it. So here we are. But we did spend a lot of money on the pavilion. I really ask you all to take me at my word and believe that I'll do whatever I can to address the concerns of the neighbors as far as the noise. Now, people speeding on Burt Garner and there not being enough room, I can't help that. But that's not directly related to and the winter time they were talking about being able to see it because the leaves would fall off the trees and everything. Winter is not going to be a time for weddings. It would be unusual for us to have weddings in the winter. We may have one or two. I'm not saying we would never have a wedding in the wintertime, but I would say it's mostly going to be in the spring and then, in the fall, October,
But the permit that you received was for a personal use pavilion or?
Right. Yeah, we did not file for a commercial building. Correct. It's a residential usage. Yeah.
But now it is used commercial.
Right, and that's why we wanted to file for the exception, because we didn't anticipate doing a lot of weddings there.
Any other discussion?
I just want to know, out of the 6 weddings, how many were noisy? All 6? 1, 2?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a matter of perspective.
I guess you don't have that answer.
Well, I know the one that was the one before last was the worst, and I didn't like it. I was bothered by it, and I did discuss it with Farah, and we made a mistake by letting them go later, and we should have told them to turn it down a little bit more, or a lot more actually. They were loud. They were a loud band, but 95% at least of what the weddings we're going to have is not going to be a live band. It's just going to be a DJ with their equipment and a couple of speakers there, and we can certainly control that. Like I said, I think there was a couple of weddings that were louder than the others, and especially that one. And I think that one is really what got people upset about it, and that can certainly be avoided.
I have a question for Roger. Roger, if we approve this exception, are we then overriding this individual use versus commercial use?
Explain more.
Well, he said his permit is for private use.
Yeah, he got a permit for and I've got the copy of the permit here, for residential accessory structures, what was put on the permit. And that's fine, and use for family and everything, that would fall within that. What he's asking is to be able to do the commercial aspect, which would be used as a venue for commercial gain, as for weddings.
But
That's what we're being asked to do, is to agree that it now can be
Yes.
used as a commercial.
Which I like. The ones that have had now that have been for commercial gain have been violations.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's my question.
I've never been to a wedding that hasn't served alcohol. And I have to say, I am still concerned. If this business is allowed to be going on there, then I think the county has an obligation to widen that road so that when I drive down that road and people are driving in the middle across the line and I'm forced off, it doesn't have low or no shoulders, and I don't have to meet drunken drivers on the road. And I don't know if you serve alcohol, but I have never been to a wedding that there isn't alcohol brought, if not served.
Is there any other discussion from the board?
We have a neighbor who's been in one of our rooms.
So if the last one was set up with just a DJ only, was the last one, the last venue DJ only? Or was it a band? Right, how was it,
September 22nd is when the band was doing it so loud.
how, the last weekend, what was that, DJ only?
DJ was pretty quiet.
Okay, because I could hear every word he was saying, every word. Like I said, congratulations, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And like they're talking about the traffic, those of us that live in Foxdale and use Burt Garner as a cut through can drive it with our eyes closed. You got 30 people to 150 people coming there to a venue that don't know that road. It's not lit. We're not in the city. It is a bad road. So if you don't know that road, you don't live on it or around it, you're going to be, and especially like they said alcohol, but let's just exclude that and the safety part of people being there that are not familiar with Burt Garner as they would be with 411 or 321, leaving a venue in the dark. And that's the way it's going to be. I don't want any noise. You've got millions of dollars worth of homes. There's several of us in Foxdale. I don't care if they were trailers, single wide trailers. Nobody should have to put up with this noise at all.
Thank you. All right. Is there any other discussion from the board?
I just wanted to say one thing too about the DJ. The first time I heard it, it wasn't a live band, it was a DJ. We're down at the, almost at the end of Muscadine, and we could hear every word that was being said. The response was getting out, everything. And I don't think we should have to get a listen to that.
And for no other,
I am concerned for safety of small children and older children. If they're gonna have parties and drink, that's not a place to do that. There are a lot, we don't have small children, but there are a lot of children and grandchildren in that neighborhood, and we need to think of the safety of those children. You know, I know weddings and parties are a good time, but safety should be the utmost. And I can't see that there won't be an overflow of parking on our streets.
ma'am, what is your name?
And I live on Cedar Gate. Can I address that? That's my concern. Pardon? I like to address your concern about the parking and also, you know, the alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Farrah Williams-Stack. I'm one of the other owners. I'm Matthew's wife. Parking-wise, we own 10 acres. We would never have a car park on the street. They park in our grass. So we have a designated area for that, and we're not interested in having 500 people on our property. I have 4 of my own children, so safety is a concern for me too. And actually, one of the girls that I bring over to make sure things are followed properly, she actually works for the police department, and she makes sure that, you know, people are doing what they're supposed to. And most of the time, we've not had alcohol at our weddings. There have been a couple that have, and when they did, we require them to have a licensed bartender. ABC licensed bartender to serve that and make sure people are cut off as they're supposed to be. So I think about those things. Those are very important to us.
Is that all you have? All right.
You looking for a motion?
Yes.
The photography thing is a family enterprise. That's okay, right? The event center, it's come to us as a special exception for weddings and events. After the fact. I'm all for people having a business and utilize their property, but in this case, whether it's noise after 10 o'clock or noise at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, to me that doesn't make a lot of difference, but I'd like to deny this special exception request.
A second.
Motion been made and seconded.
Larry Chesney,
Voting yes means deny.
Bruce Demrow,
Denied.
you're voting for or against the motion?
For.
Stanley Hedrick,
For.
Rob Walker.
Yes. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda tonight's a variance from minimum lot size on Burt Gunnell Road in Townsend.
The applicant is applying for a variance from the minimum lot size for a replat of the property at 210 Boat Gunnell Road.
Roger, if you'll wait just a minute. think y'all can hear now. Go ahead.
This property is identified on tax map 96, parcel 149.01, and is located in the R1 zone. The required lot size is 30,000 square feet. This replat has already been reviewed by the Environmental Department, and the Planning Commission has granted approval of the plat pending BZA's approval of the variance. Our zoning does allow a lot that has two dwellings to be divided, even if there's not enough room for each property to meet our minimum lot size requirements. But in this case, there were already two separate lots, and this replat will take one lot and make it bigger, while the other lot size will be reduced to under the 30,000 square feet, which is why the variance is required. Lot 1 will be 25,102 square feet. Lot 2 will be 27,209 square feet. As you look at the plat, Lot 2's original lot line is shown hatched, and it's hard to see on your plat. I got the original coming down. Bruce has it now. And you can see that this lot was surrounded by Lot 1. The adjustment will locate the house and pool on one lot, which will be the lot number 2, and will give lot number 1 it'll give lot number 2 more area for repair of the septic system if one is ever required. There will still be 2 lots and 2 dwellings, but the situation will be improved by the replat.
Is there anyone here in favor of this variance?
My name's Jeremy Killebrew. I'm here on behalf of Russell Hepperly. He's the one that purchased the home where the lot is smaller. I'm not sure which lot that is. He bought it with the intentions of fixing it up and selling it. And when they got into the way the property is shaped now, they basically cut all the property off around the house, taking the pool out that's attached to it. And we're just requesting variance to, kind of draw the line where to make this house, attach the pool back to the house and make it so that he can sell the house. So that's kind of what we need or what we're looking for.
What was your last name, Jeremy?
My name's Jeremy Killebrew, Killebrew.
Roger, I still don't understand where the line originally was.
I'll show you.
I have like a drawing.
But it basically just makes a tight envelope around this house. So right there. And it actually hides the pool. So this property went all the way around this property. So that's the original.
So the pool area wasn't even on that lot.
This is what we have right now. What we're looking to do is come right here and make that part the new lot. This part right here is currently part of this lot. Clayton Davis is the one that owns both lots, and he owned both lots, and he chopped all this property off and sold that house as it was for this to get them in there. But now the house went into foreclosure. What we're looking to do is, get this part of the lot back. There's a pool that they don't own that's attached to the house, and we're trying to. I'm not sure how they got.
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it is. That's
Probably one family owned both lots at one time.
Clayton Davis owned both homes at one time. Was trying to do a favor for somebody, and so he basically cut the property off so they could sell it. And then people went in foreclosure, and now we purchased it.
Yeah, so the pool wasn't on the lot that happened.
We get a lot back to where it makes sense, and and that way we can buy.
Then you can sell it.
Yeah, the box right there is kind of what is current, and what the surveyor is proposed is right here, this line is where we cut.
Take this off right here and move it down here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then that would be 0.62 acres plus or minus, and then this house would be 0.57.
All right.
And Clayton has agreed to sell this.
You don't take that with you. Is there anyone else in favor or in opposition of this variance? Hearing none, we'll open up discussion from the board.
So, Roger, what I'm understanding is what we're being asked to approve is these two lots being less than 30,000 square feet.
That is correct.
And this has been through the other committees and they approved this plot.
Yes, the planning commission approved it pending BZA approval of the variance. And it definitely makes it a lot better situation for lot number 2 as far as septic and any future repairs if needed. And the environmental health department has signed off on that plat also.
So all the people that should be contacted about this change has been contacted and they've all agreed with this change.
Correct.
Where is the septic now for lot number 2?
Nah. Probably
You know
just
where the
right,
septic
probably just
field
right
is?
behind the house.
I know it's behind the house. I'm not exactly sure the location.
Any other discussion from the board?
I'd like to follow up on your question. Is the septic for each of these houses on these new lots?
I think from the best that they can tell from the environmental evaluation, they are. They're satisfied with it. The
I
environmental
believe the
department.
septic would definitely be on this lot as it is now, but the leach field side of it may cross over into what is now existing. So it's not all contained on that as it is now, but it would be, is my understanding.
No other discussion. The chair will entertain a motion.
I move we accept the variance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Larry Chesney,
Yes.
Bruce Damrow,
Yes.
Stanley Hedrick,
Yes.
Rob Walker.
Yes. Motion approved. Training update?
Yes, I was going to put together everybody's hours and have them here for you, but it's been kind of a crazy week for me, and I've not gotten to it. So I'll try to have that to you next time. And I've got some training hours that you guys have already had that I need to have you sign your certificates. So I'll be getting that to you next month.
Motion to adjourn?
Also moved.